Let's be honest. You've been programmed, maybe even manipulated for a large part of your life. You've been made to believe that your desire is your identity, that your impulse defines your purpose, that your appetite dictates who you are. Pay attention. This story isn't yours. It was implanted in you like a silent virus, directing your movements without you realizing the source. And what's most worrying, you accepted it. You became a satisfied slave, a prisoner who deludes himself into thinking he's in control. Want to know what's most dangerous about all this? They've convinced you that without the constant pursuit of pleasure, you're dead. Without external validation, you're worthless. Why? Because a man or woman imprisoned by their desires is easier to control. While you chase bodies, you forget your soul. While you obsess over impressing, others build empires. And here the situation becomes even more interesting, because what I'm about to say defies everything you've learned. You don't need to renounce desire. You need to transform it into a weapon, to master it. To desensualize your mind doesn't mean to turn it off, but to redirect it, to convert your energy from external conquest to internal mastery. What I present is not abstinence, but transmutation. And this, my friend, is the secret they don't want you to discover. The desensualized mind is the most powerful weapon a modern individual can possess, because a person who isn't controlled by their instincts is unpredictable, and the unpredictable is dangerous. Have you ever been in a situation where everyone follows the current, and suddenly someone enters breaking that dynamic? You don't know whether to fear or admire them, but you recognize something. That person possesses power, and you can't understand why. Their will hasn't been hijacked. Reflect on this. How many decisions in your life have been influenced by the need to be accepted? How many paths have you not followed for fear of not being good enough for someone? How many times have you sacrificed your time, money, and energy just for a chance at validation? Each of those times you lost a piece of yourself, and you did it willingly. This is the darkest part. You did it smiling, believing it was freedom. But understand this, the desensualized mind isn't a cold mind. It's a mind that burns but isn't consumed. It observes desire, understands it, respects it, but doesn't serve it. It's not a slave, it's a queen, a strategist. And at this point, when desire ceases to be a tyrant and becomes a servant, the rules of the game change. Allow me to take you to a dark place. Imagine someone who has spent their entire life seeking approval through their body, lives to be admired, trains, dresses, gets into debt, all for that external gaze. And when they achieve it, they feel like they've conquered something. But that feeling disappears in moments because it was never real, never belonged to them. And then the cycle begins again. Know what that's called? Addiction, but disguised as self-love, success, masculinity, or femininity. And here comes the question that will make you uncomfortable. If tomorrow no one could desire you anymore, would you still feel valuable? If the answer is no, you're lost because you built your identity on quicksand, and with every second that passes, you sink further. The solution? Your mind. Separate your value from your validation. Return to yourself. Restart. Comfortable? No. It means killing a part of you. A part that was fed since the first ad you saw, since the first compliment you received, since they told you that a real man conquers, that a real woman enchants. Correction. A real human being conquers themselves. And for that you need a free mind that doesn't react but decides, that doesn't crawl but chooses. Why do great leaders, great thinkers, great creators possess an almost supernatural aura? Because their minds are desensualized. Not because they don't have desires, but because they master them. They transform their energy into action, their impulse into vision, their hunger into legacy. While the rest of the world chases bodies, they chase eternity. But let's go deeper. Sigmund Freud already said it. Sexual energy, if not wasted, can be sublimated. The same force that drags you to the abyss can propel you to Olympus. Learn to contain your fire, and you can build with it. Stop reacting, start creating. Psychological, mental, human alchemy. And you may be asking yourself, how is that done? It's not done in a day. It's a battle against yourself. Every time you feel compelled to impress, stop. Question yourself, why? Every time you feel the need for validation, breathe and observe the emptiness, because that's where the trap lies. We've been conditioned to flee from emptiness, but emptiness isn't the enemy. Emptiness is the space where you can rebuild yourself. The desensualized mind is dangerous because it has no needs. Without needs, there is no submission. Without submission, no one can use you. At this point, you become truly free. Know what it's like to walk down the street without the need to be admired. It's like floating above the noise. It's like being in a world where everyone is shouting, but you move in silence. And silence scares because it reveals, because it makes people uncomfortable, because it demonstrates that you are no longer in the game, that you are above it. Know why many will attack you when you start this journey. Because you'll remind them of how trapped they are. Because you'll show that there is a different path, and that hurts. Those who crawl can't stand to see someone standing and will do everything to tear you down. They'll ridicule your silence, mock your self-control, call you cold, strange, distant, because you're taking away their excuse. Because while you were a slave, everyone felt comfortable. But when you break free, the reflection is unbearable. And that's where loneliness begins. Because this path isn't popular, isn't celebrated, isn't rewarded, but it's felt deep in the soul as an unwavering certainty, as an internal axis that doesn't move, even if everything around trembles. That's the strength of the desensualized mind. It doesn't need to prove anything. It simply exists, and its mere existence transforms the environment. But here lies the greatest challenge. The real enemy isn't out there, it's in here. Your own voice whispering that you can't, that it's not worth it, that it's easier to follow the flow. That's the voice you need to silence because it's not yours. It's the voice of the world speaking through your mouth. You need to silence it, not with shouts, but with actions, with discipline, with a will sharpened like a blade. And a day will come, if you persist on this path, when you'll look back and not recognize the person you were. The one before was programmed, the one now awake. This awakening is brutal because you see everything. Those who crawl, the tricks of manipulation, the chains, and you simply move forward. Not because you consider yourself superior, but because you chose something that almost no one chooses: control. Then the next time you feel tempted to seek validation, stop in front of the mirror and face yourself. Not your body, not your clothes. Face your essence and ask yourself, who is in command? If the answer isn't you, then you're not free yet. But if you can affirm with conviction that you are the one who decides, then you have achieved liberation. You broke the cycle, crossed the border, and there is no turning back. That, my friend, is power. That is freedom. That is what they fear. The desensualized mind isn't just the best weapon of modern man, it's the ultimate tool. And now let's enter an even deeper territory, because if the desensualized mind is the weapon, there's a question you can't avoid. Who are you really fighting against? Most believe it's against others, against society, against culture, against external noise, and in some ways that's true. But the real enemy, the most treacherous of all, is emotional conditioning. That invisible system that makes you react without thinking, that associates pleasure with approval, self-esteem with desire, and your identity with the echo of a gaze. Let's reflect on affective conditioning, that psychological trap that distorts your way of relating to the world, to yourself, and to your goals. Because desire isn't born pure, it's educated, it's manipulated. Since childhood, they've taught you that love is conquered, that value is measured by the attention received, that whoever is not desired doesn't exist. The result? A fragmented human being, incessantly seeking himself in the eyes of others. But affective conditioning transcends sexual desire. It's much deeper. It manifests itself in how you communicate with yourself, in how you make decisions, and in how you deal with silence. It's that anxiety you feel when no one sends you messages, that emptiness that arises when you receive no external sign that you exist. That's not desire. It's an addiction to reflection. And an individual addicted to reflection is blind to his interior reality. The desensualized mind is also the mind that has broken with that cycle of reflection, that has stopped seeking itself in the exterior, that has learned to be alone without feeling empty. Because here is the brutal truth. It's not loneliness that scares you. It's what you hear when you face it. It's the internal noise. It's the echo of all the insecurities you tried to mask with distractions. You know why so many individuals fail in silence? Because they don't know how to inhabit it. Because silence doesn't lie. Silence doesn't flatter. Silence doesn't give you back a distorted image of yourself. Silence reveals who you really are, and that's why you run from it. That's why you run towards desire, noise, anything that covers up that pure reflection. But here's the twist. It's in that silence that your power lies. It's in that unfiltered mirror that you find the truth you so avoided. Because when you stop reacting, you start to observe. And when you observe without needs, you see the game, the body language, the hidden intentions, the projected emotions. And centered in yourself, you don't react. You calculate, analyze, act. You are no longer an emotional player, you are the strategist. Because the desensualized mind is not a passive mind, it's a strategic mind. And the world is a chessboard. Let's go even deeper. Let's get to the root, that blind impulse that many confuse with passion. But it's not passion. It's disguised fear. It's need. It's emotional dependence disguised as desire. And that weakens you. A dependent individual, even if dressed in armor, bleeds inside and the world smells that blood. The question you must ask yourself isn't, how do I conquer? But rather, why do I need to conquer? Because if the root of your action is need, everything you build will be contaminated. Everything will be fragile, unstable. And the modern individual, the one who longs for freedom, can't afford that fragility, can't afford to depend on another person's smile to feel alive. And this leads us to a concept that few understand: emotional autonomy. The mental state in which you stop begging for energy and start generating it. The moment your mood stops depending on external factors. You know how many people are emotionally devastated by not having cultivated this autonomy? They live hanging on the next validation. Their peace depends on receiving or not a response. Their self-esteem fluctuates with likes. This is not life, this is digital slavery. Emotional autonomy is being able to walk away without drama. It's being able to say no without guilt. It's not needing to impress to feel complete. It's not depending on the desire of others to exist. When you reach this state, you notice something. People start to feel something different in you. They don't know what it is, but they feel it, and they are disconcerted because they can't buy you, they can't manipulate you, they can't use you. And that, in a world full of masks, represents a threat. But be careful, don't confuse autonomy with isolation. It's not about avoiding connections. It's about connecting from fullness, not from need. A complete individual doesn't surrender out of fear of loneliness. He surrenders by choice. And that changes everything, because the love that is born from choice is freedom. What is born from need is a prison. And now let's talk about focus, because all this energy that you are redirecting needs a destination. The desensualized mind doesn't empty itself. It reinvests in creation, in purpose, in presence, in depth. Because here's another disconcerting secret: desire distracts. And when you master it, life slows down. You become more conscious, more focused, more present. And that's where you see what others don't. A focused individual isn't intense. He is precise. He is selective. And in a world where everyone is scattered, the one who dominates his focus wins. Know what the real superpower is in this era of constant stimuli. Sustained attention, the ability to be present without fleeing, without distracting, without seeking immediate pleasure. That's what separates the builders of empires from the consumers of illusions. But here lies the most powerful aspect of all. The individual who desensualizes his mind doesn't stop feeling. He begins to feel everything more clearly, because by filtering out the noise, perception sharpens. His intuition becomes more precise, his judgment more accurate, his presence more powerful. He no longer speaks to please, he speaks to transform. He no longer acts to impress, he acts to impact. And that, my friend, is the real revolution. A mind that no longer reacts like an animal, but responds like an architect of his own existence. A mind that doesn't need applause because it feeds on purpose. A mind that doesn't implore for connection because it is complete in itself. The world isn't prepared for individuals like that, because they are impossible to manipulate, because they don't let themselves be carried away by empty promises, because they don't fit into pre-established patterns. But you're not here to fit in. You're here to break the status quo, to deactivate the system from within, to be the anomaly that proves that it is possible to live free, that it is possible to feel without depending, that it is possible to be intense without losing control. That's your role. That's your path. The desensualized mind is not the end, it's the beginning of a new way of existing in the world, of a new way of inhabiting your body, your mind, your time, of a new way of loving without begging, of creating without permission, of existing without chains. And when you reach that point, you'll understand why this whole journey was worth it. Because you will no longer be surviving. You will be truly living without needs, without masks, without fears, just you and your unwavering determination. That's you now. That's you when you decide to stop being a slave. That's you when you choose to be free. And now we reach the edge, not of the video, but of the abyss. Because if you've made it this far, it's no accident. There is something inside you that has already awakened, something that is clamoring from within, asking to leave, asking for liberation. This isn't just a conversation. It isn't just a video. It's a mirror. And you know it, because while others continue to flee from themselves, you are here face to face with your most brutal reflection. I want you to understand this. The desensualized mind isn't a passing trend. It isn't a pose. It isn't a beautiful philosophy to embellish your social media. It's a declaration of war, a silent war against everything that has kept you chained, against each mental chain that you confused with a caress, against each impulse that you interpreted as freedom. This isn't about repression, it's about choice, about taking total control over who you are. Know why this ending isn't really an ending? Because what starts now is the most challenging part, applying, putting into practice, experiencing what you just understood. And it is here that many give up, because understanding makes you feel strong. But sustaining that understanding day after day, that transforms you. That elevates you to the select group of those who can face the world head-on without bowing their heads. And at that point, I need to warn you, you will lose things, people, habits, and spaces that no longer serve you. The price of freedom is that you can't carry everything with you, but what you gain will outweigh any loss. You will gain clarity, you will gain peace, you will gain an identity that doesn't need to be reinvented every morning. You will gain the power of not needing anything, and from there, build everything. I want you to do something right now, not for me, but for you. Write a phrase in the comments. He who doesn't need, dominates. That way, I'll know you've reached the end. That way I'll know that you're not just another, that you're one of those who really felt the message, one of those who are willing to change the rules, even if it means burning the board. And if that touched you, if you feel that this wasn't just entertainment, but an interior revolution, subscribe to the channel, because here you won't find the same recycled messages you see around. Here we'll tear down every layer of lies that were imposed on you. Here we'll unearth your most authentic, freest, and most you essence. I'll see you in the next video. Or not. The choice is yours. But if you come back, don't come back the same. Come back more insightful, more determined, more you. And now I take my leave as it should be done. In silence, allowing everything you've heard to resonate in your mind tonight. Because if you can't sleep after this video, that means you're finally waking up. Until next time, I'll see you where few dare inside yourself.